Walt Disney's dark side, the childhood and psychology they never teach. Before you hear this story, pause for a second. Think about Walt Disney, the smiling mouse, the castle, the songs you heard as a child. Now here's the question most people never ask. What kind of childhood creates a man who needs to build a perfect world? Because this is not just the inspiring story of Walt Disney. This is the real story of Walt Disney's childhood, his psychology, and the darker truths behind the magic they never teach in school. And once you understand where Disney's obsession with control came from, you will never see Disney movies, Disneyland, or Mickey Mouse the same way again. Stay with me, because the truth behind Walt Disney's success isn't magic. It's fear, discipline, and an obsession with order. Walt Disney was not born into fantasy. He was born into instability. Walt Disney grew up in a family that moved constantly, chasing jobs that never quite worked. His childhood was shaped by financial stress, strict rules, and a father who believed discipline mattered more than joy. Walt's father, Elias Disney, was deeply religious and intensely controlling. He believed children should work hard, speak little, and obey without question. This is a part of Walt Disney's childhood that rarely appears in documentaries. Walt delivered newspapers before sunrise, every single day. He worked long hours as a child. He was exhausted before most kids woke up. There were no lazy mornings, no softness, no room for imagination. And that matters, because the man who later built the happiest place on earth did not grow up in a happy place himself. As a child, Walt Disney learned something very early. Joy was conditional. It had to be earned. It had to be justified. It had to be controlled. So Walt escaped, not physically, but mentally. He drew. Drawing became his safe place. Not because it was fun, but because it was predictable. On paper, worlds behaved. Characters did what he wanted. Nothing yelled back. This is where Disney's psychology begins. Then came loss. The Disney family lost their farm. The failure crushed Walt's father. The pressure inside the home intensified, and Walt learned a lesson that never left him. If the real world disappoints you, build a better one. Walt's early career followed the same pattern. His first animation studio failed. He went bankrupt. He lost the rights to his first successful character, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. This moment is critical in understanding Walt Disney's dark side. Imagine creating something, watching it succeed, and then being told it no longer belongs to you. That loss shattered Walt, and it changed him. From that moment forward, Walt Disney became obsessed with ownership. Ownership of characters, ownership of stories, ownership of outcomes. This wasn't greed, it was trauma. Mickey Mouse was born from that trauma. Walt didn't design Mickey to be cute. He designed Mickey to be reliable. Mickey never aged, never failed, never abandoned him. In a life filled with instability, Mickey Mouse represented certainty. And audiences felt that instinctively. They weren't just watching cartoons. They were watching control disguised as joy. As Disney's success grew, so did his perfectionism. Inside the Disney studio, Walt Disney was known for being both inspiring and terrifying. He demanded absolute precision. He rewrote scenes endlessly. He scrapped entire projects late in production. Employees admired him and feared him because, to Walt Disney, mistakes weren't creative. They were dangerous. Chaos threatened the world he was trying to hold together. During World War II, Disney Studios produced propaganda films for the US government. Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck became tools of persuasion. This wasn't a betrayal of Disney's values. It was an extension of them. Walt Disney believed deeply in structure, patriotism, and systems that worked. Fantasy, for him, was not escape. It was order, wrapped in color. After the war, Walt Disney's vision expanded again. Movies were no longer enough. He wanted to build a world. That world became Disneyland. But Disneyland was not just a theme park. It was a controlled environment. No trash on the ground, no visible workers, no randomness. Even the placement of trash cans was calculated based on how many steps a person would walk before dropping garbage. Think about that. Walt Disney wasn't designing rides. He was designing behavior. This is the real reason Disneyland feels different. It's not magic, it's psychology. People often talk about conspiracies when discussing Walt Disney's dark side. Frozen myths, secret agendas, hidden messages. But the real story is far more human. Walt Disney wasn't evil. He was afraid of chaos, afraid of failure, afraid of returning to the instability of his childhood. So he tried to engineer happiness itself. Near the end of his life, Walt Disney wasn't satisfied with Disneyland. He wanted something bigger. He planned Epcot, not as a theme park, but as a controlled, experimental city. A place without elections, without decay, without unpredictability. A place where systems ran forever. Walt Disney died before Epcot could become that city, but the idea reveals everything. He believed control created happiness. This is the part of Walt Disney's story that changes how you see the magic. He didn't believe happiness happened naturally. He believed it had to be designed, protected, and maintained. That belief built the Disney empire. It also demanded absolute control. So what is the dark story you weren't told? It's not scandal, it's psychology. Walt Disney built joy the way an engineer builds bridges to prevent collapse. He wasn't escaping childhood pain, he was correcting it. And once you understand that, everything makes sense. The perfection, the obsession, the control. Walt Disney didn't create magic because life was easy. He created it because life was unpredictable. So here's the real question. Was Walt Disney creating fantasy, or was he protecting himself from a world he never trusted? Tell me what you think. And if you want more stories about the raw human side of legends, not the fairy tale version, subscribe. Because behind every perfect world, there's a human who needed it to exist.